What's up, cousin? My name is Ryan. I am a self-taught software developer and engineer, and I'm going to talk about the most important experience in my life regarding learning, both inside and outside of school. There will be some storytelling, but I will also give you lots of practical ideas which will help you to become a better learner. On the first day of the 10th grade of my Canadian high school education, I walked into my math class and met my teacher, who I will call Mr. C. Mr. C was in many ways a bad teacher. I mean no disrespect to this man, but I had even heard other teachers commenting on his poor teaching skills. He was very often sarcastic and spiteful to the students. He was also one of those teachers who would spend almost the entire class talking and working on one or two whiteboard examples. Finally, and you will think I'm exaggerating here, at least half the time he did his whiteboard examples, he would make a logic or arithmetic error and arrive at the wrong answer. Everybody makes mistakes, but I think you can start to imagine that most of us did not have confidence or respect for this man as a teacher. I won't go into too much detail here, but substance abuse and mental health problems were also at a peak in the house I was living in, so when you combine a bad teacher and a bad home life, you usually get a bad grade. At the end of that year, I got the worst grade I have ever gotten in a math class since kindergarten, and I was pissed about that. I had dreams of either studying physics or becoming a stock trader, and by the end of that year, both of those dreams died. However, while many things went wrong that year, I did develop two good habits. I started working out, I stopped drinking soft drinks, and for reasons I'm still unsure of, I saw that the dysfunction I was dealing with at home was making me a hateful and broken human being at school. In other words, at 15, I made the decision that I was not going to let other people f*** my life up any worse than it already was. But life will test you, and sure enough, out of the 3 teachers teaching algebra and pre-calculus in my grade 11 year, I once again got Mr. C. For the first week or two, the past was repeating itself. Mr. C was again using his combination of talking and bad examples to teach abstract and difficult mathematical concepts. My first test came back. Once again, it was something like 60%, and I was really angry about that. But after that test, I made the most important decision I have ever made in my academic life. Mr. C wanted you to pay attention to him while he was speaking. Fair enough. But he would barely give us 10 minutes in class to work on the problems he would assign, and he liked assigning lots of problems. As mentioned before, homework was a problem for me. So after I got that low test score back, a very powerful thought went through my head. Fuck it, I'll teach myself. So from that day forward, I completely ignored his lessons except to find out where we were in the textbook, and I spent all 70 minutes of my class solving the examples and problems in the textbook. All of a sudden, the test scores started trending upwards. I was able to help one of my oldest and best friends with some difficult topics, and I learned that it wasn't that I was bad at math, I just wasn't being taught properly. But I'm not done talking about Mr. C. I expected Mr. C to push back on my lack of attention to his lessons, and I was ready to go to war over that. Well, he never said a word about it. After a few weeks, I ran into a topic which just wasn't making sense to me, and at the end of class, I went up to him and asked for help. Surprisingly, he did exactly what a good teacher should do, which is that he explained the concept in different ways until I actually understood it. For the rest of that semester, if I ever got stuck, which did happen because the textbook itself wasn't exactly flawless, I would go up and get some one-on-one help. When I got my report card, there was a comment on it from Mr. C, which said roughly, "Ryan's grades have improved significantly, and I have come to enjoy our chats at the end of class." And so I say sincerely, thank you, Mr. C. While I still think you are overall a pretty bad teacher, you inadvertently changed my life for the better. Because I learned how to teach myself, and I accepted that a bad teacher is no excuse for a bad grade, in my next school year I got 7 A's, 1 B, and that included an A+ in calculus and an A in advanced algebra. Alright, I hope that story was at least entertaining, and in case you're wondering, it's all true. But let me talk about the key ideas you can implement to become a better learner. Firstly, different people are better at learning in different ways. In the study of cognition, or learning, we used to have this model where people were usually either a visual, auditory, or kinesthetic learner. This model has fallen out of favor as almost everybody is some mixture of all of those unless their brain is very physically distinct from the average person. With that being said, simply talking about how to solve math problems or write code is still probably an objectively bad approach to teaching most students. You need to involve multiple parts of your brain in the learning process. If you are having difficulty learning a topic, then there are two ways I suggest you fix that. The first is to change how you work with the information. If reading or listening to someone describe the information is not working, look at pictures or three-dimensional models as well. If that doesn't help, work through examples and problem sets. If writing down the information plainly doesn't work, do what I do to learn topics like operating systems or digital circuits. Write down the notes in question and answer format, where both the questions and the answers are in your own words if possible. During the next study session, try to answer your questions, and if you can't answer any of them, you know exactly what to revisit before moving on or taking a test. Also, draw simple diagrams to engage your visual systems as much as possible, and don't be afraid to use colors if that appeals to you. The second way to improve your learning is to understand that not every teacher or explanation will work for you. Therefore, if you are stuck, look for explanations of the topics from multiple different teachers. When I was studying N-type and P-type transistors last year, I had to watch about 5 different videos from different sources in order to understand how they actually work. I used this approach in grade 12 as well in my calculus and advanced algebra classes because although I did not get Mr. C for those classes, I got another teacher who seemed to think that the best way to teach calculus was to talk about it. Each weekend I would scour sites like YouTube or Khan Academy just to find people who would work through examples, diagrams, and graphs. That A+ I got was not by mistake, it was by effort. So that's it for today's video. Like my fellow Canadian Omar Isuf says, if you like the video, like the damn video, subscribe to the channel, hit the alarm bell, and let me know in the comments what you thought about this video or what you'd like to see in the next one. Thanks for watching. Peace out, cousin.